So today we're jumping into what is, it's one of the biggest choices you might make this year, selecting a musical instrument.
It really is. And it's not just about picking something that looks cool, it's a real commitment.
Exactly. Our mission here is to kind of give you the cheat sheet on what matters before you commit to spending years with, a big piece of wood or brass.
It's a foundational decision for sure. The first step, really, for anyone is a kind of personal audit.
A personal audit, what do you mean?
Before you even look at an instrument, you have to decide what kind of sound you actually like. Are you drawn to the deep, sort of human tones of a cello?
Or maybe the super bright, loud sound of a trumpet.
Right. That interest is what keeps you going when practice gets a little tough.
And right after that, you have to get practical. Super practical, actually. We're
Yeah.
talking about logistics.
Absolutely. You have to live with this thing. So start with size and transport. I mean, think about it.
Okay, so a flute, for example.
A flute is incredibly portable. It just slips into a backpack. But if you choose the double bass, well, now you need a big car and some serious strength just to get it to rehearsal. That becomes a part of your daily life.
And what about your actual home? You might be dreaming of a full drum set.
But your family might not be.
Right. It takes up a ton of space, and the volume, let's just say, might not make you the most popular person in the house.
Or with your neighbors.
And we have to talk about cost. People always see the first price tag for buying or renting.
But that's not the whole story, is it?
Not at all. The real surprise is the ongoing cost, the accessories. If you play a woodwind, you're budgeting for new reeds constantly. For strings, you're buying new sets of strings every year. It adds up.
So here's a key piece of advice. Before you spend a dime, talk to a music teacher.
Yes, they're experts at this. They can match personalities to instruments. They might see that your long arms are, perfect for a trombone.
Or that your focus makes you a great fit for something complex like an oboe. Use their expertise.
Okay, so with that checklist in mind, let's jump into the families. We should probably start with the strings.
Yeah, that makes sense. This group has a massive range of sound, from the really high soaring notes of the violin all the way down to the deep rumbling tones of the double bass.
We all know strings use a bow. But how does a bow, how does it actually make the sound?
It's all about friction. The bow is threaded with horsehair. When you draw it across the strings, they vibrate like crazy.
But there's a key ingredient, right?
Yes, you have to use rosin. It's that little sticky block of stuff you see players use. It gives the horsehair the grip it needs. Without it, the bow just slides and you get this weak, airy noise.
So for a beginner, I always hear violin or viola. Why those two?
Well, they're the most common starting points because they're smaller and the posture is a bit more manageable for younger students. But the great thing about strings is they're customizable.
They come in different sizes.
Exactly. Half size, three-quarter size. You find one that fits the length of your arms perfectly. It's like getting the right size bike. It grows with you.
And then there's the cello, which has that incredibly rich sound.
The cello is special. You play it sitting down, so it's anchored between your legs. And that gives it that warm, resonant voice that people say sounds a lot like a human singing.
So once you have your instrument, the work begins. What's the first hurdle for a string player?
Tuning. 100%. You have to learn how to use the pegs at the top to tighten or loosen the strings to get the right pitch. It's a daily thing.
And posture is a big deal here.
It is paramount. Bad posture with a string instrument can lead to actual injuries over time, especially in your shoulders and wrists.
But the payoff is huge. You get to be part of this massive string section in an orchestra, making this incredible blended sound.
Okay, so moving on from strings, let's talk about the woodwinds. This is where air gets manipulated in some really different ways.
Yeah, this group is super diverse. You've got the flute, clarinet, oboe, saxophone.
And here's the interesting part, how they actually make the sound. Most of them use a tiny, thin piece of wood or a synthetic material called a reed.
So when you blow, the reed is what vibrates.
Exactly. It vibrates extremely quickly, and that vibration gets amplified down the tube of the instrument. That's what you see on a clarinet or a saxophone.
But an oboe feels totally different to play.
That's because it uses a double reed. So it's two pieces of reed tied together, and you're blowing air between them. It creates a much thinner, more focused sound.
Which is why the saxophone, even though it's made of brass, is a woodwind. It's about the reed.
Precisely. It's all about how the sound is produced.
So what's the exception? The one without a reed.
That would be the flute. No reed at all. You blow a concentrated stream of air across an opening. It's kind of like blowing over the top of a soda bottle to make a sound.
Playing any of these really develops your breath control and lung capacity, which is a huge benefit. But I've heard maintenance, especially with the reeds, can be a pain.
It's the curse of the woodwinds. Reeds are so fragile, they chip, they wear out, and when they do, your instrument sounds awful. You're always replacing them.
And there's more, isn't there?
Oh yeah. You have to clean the moisture, condensation from your Bren out of the tube after every single practice. If you don't, you risk ruining the little pads that seal the holes. And that means a costly trip to the repair shop.
Okay, that brings us to the brass family. This is where the player becomes part of the instrument.
That is the perfect way to put it. Sound production here is purely physical. On a trumpet, a trombone, a French horn, the sound is made when you blow air into the mouthpiece while buzzing your lips together.
That sounds exhausting.
It is the core challenge. Brass playing takes a lot of physical energy and a really steady flow of air. Players need strong facial muscles to maintain their embouchure.
Embouchure, that's the shape of your mouth.
Right. It's that specific, focused shape you need to make to buzz consistently. If your face gets tired, your pitch goes all over the place and your tone just disappears.
So let's talk about the instruments themselves. The trumpet is the high note specialist.
Yeah, it's the highest voice, famous for fanfares for cutting through the whole band. But then you have the trombone, which is sort of the odd one out.
Because of the giant slide instead of valves. Why is that so unique?
Well, the slide lets the player move smoothly between notes instead of jumping between fixed notes like on a valved instrument. That's why trombones can do those cool sliding effects, those glissandos.
And the French horn with all that coiled tubing.
All that coiled tubing is what gives it that warm, blended sound. It's known for this beautiful, almost haunting quality that kind of bridges the woodwinds and the strings.
And for brass, maintenance is all about keeping things moving.
It's all about lubrication. You have to oil the valves or grease the trombone slide all the time to keep them from getting stuck.
But if you want to join a marching band, this is your ticket. Brass instruments are the power engine of any outdoor group.
Okay, let's pivot to the anchors of the music. Percussion and keyboards.
Percussion is just, it's anything you hit, shake, or scrape, right? It's the broadest family there is.
For sure. And the common starting point for most students is the snare drum. It's where you learn all the fundamental rhythms and rudiments that apply to pretty much all music.
But percussionists aren't just drummers. They play melodic instruments too.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting. You have melodic percussion, like the glockenspiel, those metal bars like a keyboard. And then you have the timpani.
Those are the huge copper kettle drums.
Right. And what's fascinating is that they're not just loud, they're tuned. You use a foot pedal to stretch the drum head, which changes the pitch to specific notes.
So a percussionist's job is intense. You might be running around playing 5 different instruments in a single piece.
It demands incredible organization, a rock-solid sense of rhythm, and great hand-eye coordination.
Any practical tips for beginners?
Get a practice pad. It's a rubber surface you can use to practice rhythms silently at home, so you can build your skills without driving everyone crazy. And remember, schools usually provide the biggest instruments, like the timpani.
Let's talk about the piano, the ultimate foundation. I find the mechanism fascinating. You press a key, and a little hammer hits a string inside.
The biggest advantage of the piano is how clearly it lays out music theory. The notes are just right there, visually mapped out. It helps you understand chords and scales way more easily.
And what's a cognitive benefit? I hear it's great for your brain.
It forces you to use both hands independently, playing completely different rhythms at the same time. It's an amazing challenge. And if you don't have space, digital pianos are a fantastic alternative.
And it sets you up for other instruments later on.
Absolutely. Learning piano makes it so much easier to pick up almost any other instrument.
So once you've picked a family, we have to talk about the real commitment, the physical side of it.
The physical element is very real. Your body type can make a difference. Longer arms definitely help with the trombone slide. Smaller hands might struggle a bit with a big clarinet.
So you really need to listen to your body.
Critically, you have to maintain proper, relaxed posture. If you don't, you can develop real strain in your neck, your back, your shoulders.
But the good news is that you build up strength.
You absolutely do. Stamina and muscle strength build up over time with consistent practice.
Speaking of practice, let's talk about time commitment. I see students trying to cram right before a lesson. That doesn't work, does it?
It's the least effective way to learn. Consistency is everything. It's so much better to practice for, say, 30 minutes every single day than for 3 hours once a week.
It's like learning a language.
It's exactly like learning a language. You need that daily immersion for muscle memory and for reading music to stick.
So what should those 30 minutes look like?
A good structure is key. Don't just play your favorite song. Spend maybe 10 minutes on warm-ups, another 10 on scales or technical work, and then the final 10 on your actual music piece. That balance is what builds real skill.
And that's just the solo time. You have to factor in group time, too.
Yep. Expect a weekly lesson with your teacher, plus several hours a week for band or orchestra rehearsals.
Let's circle back to money for a second, especially maintenance.
Right. Renting is a great way to start, to minimize the risk. If you decide you hate the clarinet after 6 months, you haven't wasted a ton of money.
But you still have to budget for the ongoing costs.
You do. Your reeds, your strings, valve oil, drumsticks, it's an annual expense. And protection is non-negotiable.
Don't leave it in a hot car.
Never. Extreme temperatures can destroy an instrument. Wood cracks, metal expands. Keep it in a sturdy case and get it serviced by a professional once a year, just like a car.
But for all this work, the reward is playing in a group.
That's where the magic happens. Playing in an orchestra or a band teaches you how to listen, how to match your sound and pitch to the people around you. You learn to follow a conductor.
And performing itself builds some powerful life skills.
It builds so much self-confidence. You're standing up in front of people, sharing something you've created. It's a great way to make friends who share this really cool, challenging interest.
So after all this information, what's the single best way to make the final choice?
You have to get hands-on. Go to a music store or ask your teacher at school if you can try a few things. You need to feel how the instrument fits in your hands and, most importantly, if you love the sound you make with it.
That initial thrill is what carries you through.
It really is. If the sound you create excites you, you're so much more likely to stick with it when things get hard.
And it's okay to be nervous, right? This isn't a permanent contract.
Not at all. You can absolutely change your mind later if your interests change or another instrument just feels like a better fit. The main goal is just to start the journey.
The key takeaway is pretty simple then. Choose the instrument that genuinely makes you excited to learn and create. Music is a lifelong skill that will just keep bringing you joy.
Well said.
And here's a final thought to mull over. If learning music theory on the piano makes it easier to learn another instrument later, is it better to learn the piano first, even if your real dream is to play the trumpet? Good luck with your journey.